Okay, we're live. Okay, I'd like to call to order the meeting of the Social Services Committee. Could we start with taking attendance?
Sure.
Rebecca?
Legislator Fine,
Here.
Camiso, Brewski,
Here.
Cleary,
Here.
Smith,
Here.
Lockhart,
Here.
McLaughlin. Oh, I see she's here.
She's here.
Curley
Here.
and Simpson.
Here.
8 of 9 present, Mr. Chairman.
Great. Thank you. First order of business is approving the previous minutes. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Mr. Cleary, second, Mr. Brewski. And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
It looks like there's someone else joining. Popped up on my
It's
screen.
artist. I'll admit people, Mr. Fine.
Okay. Great. Okay, that passed unanimous. Second order of business on to current business. Number 2, authorizing an agreement with Cayuga Centers regarding the provision of parent partner services. Commissioner?
Thank you, Chairman Fine, and good evening, committee members. Yes, the department would like to go into an authorization, if you would authorize the agreement with Cayuga Center for the provision of parent partners. This would be funded through the STSJP funding, which is the Supervision, Treatment, and Services for Juvenile program. And the reason why we explored parent partner services is that in this past January of 2020, legislation was passed regarding PINS reform. So PINS reform means that those children who are truant or really having difficulty in their home following their parents' instructions cannot be placed any longer. So we really have to look at community-based services, working with the families in the home so we can support them. Parent partners are family members who've had their own children go through the system. It could be through the mental health system, it could be through the probation system or child welfare. And they really help engage these families, find out what the truly need in the home is, and then support them navigating the service system.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the committee? Mr. Cleary?
There's no questions or comment. I make the motion to approve.
Great. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Brewski, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passed unanimous. Okay, next item on the agenda, number 3, authorizing an agreement with Cayuga Centers regarding the provision of functional family therapy, therapeutic case management services.
Yes, this FFT TCM program is really a wonderful opportunity. We've had this program throughout the past year. And one thing, it's grant funded through the Cabrini Foundation. So Cayuga has been providing this to us free of charge. And it was supposed to end in December, but they got an extension with the Cabrini Foundation. So it won't end until March of 2022. So we have a full year with this program. And it really looks at preserving the child and the family. And these are a lot of developmental delayed issues, mental health related issues, substance abuse, and criminal activity. So our numbers really, we have served about 78 children in this past year in this program. And it is evidence-based, so the outcomes really are positive.
Great. And when the funding does end in March through the Cabrini Foundation, are we seeking out other funding?
We do have an FFT program through Berkshire Farms, but this year we're actually putting out our prevention RFP. So in January of 2022, we will have new proposals. I'm really pretty positive that FFT TCM will be one of the proposals because it's evidence-based and effective with the families.
Okay, thank you. And are there any questions from the committee? Okay, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Mr. Cleary, second. Mr. Brewski, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passed unanimous. Okay, next on the agenda, number 4, authorizing an agreement and amending the 2021 Department of Children, Youth and Families budget, Redlick Horowitz Foundation grants.
Yes, the Redlick Horowitz Foundation is providing us another $10,000. If you recall, they provided us $10,000 about 6 months ago to assist us with the pandemic and making sure that we had electronics that we needed to communicate with our clients. This is actually to get our Families First proposal off the ground. That is going to be implemented October 1st, and we really need to decrease the number of children in congregate care and increase the number of kinship. So what we'd like to do is purchase some more laptops, iPads for our triage unit. And the goal of the triage unit is to be out and looking for kin of our child protective cases. So we can put the children, if there is a removal, with someone they're familiar with a relative or a kin. So that is what the money would be used for. In addition, there's about $6,000 remaining, and that would be to help certify foster families in an emergency situation.
Great, thank you. And are there any questions from the committee? Is there a motion to approve?
Question.
Mr. Brisky, second, Ms. McLaughlin, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passed unanimous. Okay, number 5, authorizing the acceptance of grant funding and agreement regarding the Child Right Safe Harbor Initiative and amending the 2021 Department for Children, Youth, and Families budget.
Thank you, Chairman. Yes, the Safe Harbor Initiative has been something we have been working on since 2008 when the legislation came through for sexually exploited children, really looking at the risks. When in 2008, we didn't think it was such an issue. But with the education and training and awareness we have made for the community, not only family members, but other agencies, we really have seen that there are children that are being exploited right here up and down Central Avenue. So it is something that we really are thankful that we continue to have this grant opportunity because we are a graduated community. And we've done a lot of efforts to ensure that children are screened and assessed if we have suspected sexualized and exploited behaviors.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the committee? Mr. Cleary?
There's no questions or comments. I'll make a motion to approve.
Great, thank you.
I'll second that.
Okay, second, Mr. Brisky, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passed unanimous. Number 6, authorizing agreements with various Albany County municipalities for the provision of Youth Bureau services.
Yes, so these are our contracts with our municipalities. They include the cities of Albany and Cohoes, the towns of Bethlehem, Colony, Guilderland, and Knox, and the villages of Colony, Green Island, and Ravenna. And these funds are helped to support youth development programs and runaway and homeless youth services. And we'll be also later down the road be looking at community-based agencies that will be receiving some awards too.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the committee? Mr. Cleary?
There's no more questions or comments. Make a motion to approve.
Okay, thank you. And is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passed unanimous. Okay, next on the agenda, number 7, authorizing an agreement with the Research Foundation for the State University of New York regarding the New York State Supervision and Treatment Services for Juveniles program.
Thank you. Yes, we have been working with SUNY Albany to really look at our numbers. We're looking at our juveniles who are getting further penetrated into the family court system. And we really do want to avoid these youth going into detention. In addition, we also have raised the age youth. And we're really trying to take a look at what are the similar patterns these youth have? What are their common challenges that they face? So with this data and this research, we hope to have better outcomes about where do we intervene? When do we put a service in place? And again, hopefully avoid further children penetrating the juvenile justice system.
Great. Yeah, that's important. Is this, will there be a report that will be made public?
Yes, we can definitely, we get reports from them about the children being served, but this one we're really drilling down with the help of probation because they have a lot of the data. So we have an agreement with probation that SUNY can actually access this information and will really understand reason for referral. What kind of crime did they get involved with, and really drill it down.
Great. Can you share that with us when it's complete?
Oh, absolutely.
Great. Thank you. Are there any questions from the committee? Okay, hearing none, is there a motion to approve?
Motion.
Motion, Mr. Bruschi, second, Mr. Cleary, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passed unanimous.
Thank you very much. Good
Thank
night
you,
all.
Brandon.
Thank you.
Okay, now we're moving on to number 8 on the agenda, authorizing an agreement with Interfaith Partnership for the Homeless regarding emergency and transitional shelter services. Commissioner McClave. You're on mute.
That would help. This one, number 8 and number 10 actually are both interfaith partnership for the homeless. The first one is the interfaith's 30-bed single homeless shelter for 15 men and 15 women. And this is a contract up to $702,000 to operate that shelter year round. And these are single people, this is heavily safety net reimbursed. So they've operated this shelter for many, many years. We're just asking for renewal of their contract for next year, starting actually July 1.
Thank you. And are there any questions from the committee? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve? Mr. Cleary, second, Ms. McLaughlin, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passed unanimous. Okay, number 9, authorizing an agreement with the Altamont program regarding emergency and transitional shelter services.
Yes, we're looking to renew a contract with the Altamont program to operate the Skylar Inn Center, which is primarily a family shelter. And it's an old motel, which has individual single rooms, so it's good for families. And they provide up to 60 rooms to us, and the cost is up to 1.3 million. This is a lot of folks in here are TANF reimbursed, although we have put some single individuals or some safety net families in there as well over the year. And they provide support for, they provide 7 meals 7 days a week, 3 meals a day, and allow their individuals to stay in the shelter, unlike other shelters, which often require people to leave during the day. They offer case management specific to families, which includes childcare issues, schooling issues, assisting people in working on the problems that the reasons they became homeless.
Great, thank you. And are there any questions from the committee? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve?
Motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's unanimous. And I do have some questions, but I'll save them till after because they're about shelters in general, but there's a number of resolutions relating to shelters. So I'll hold that until we get through them. We're on now to number 10, authorizing an agreement with Interfaith Partnership for the Homeless regarding transitional shelter services.
Yes, this is new for Interfaith. This used to be run by Spark. Interfaith just took over this shelter. It is on Morton Avenue shelter. It's a smaller facility, 11 beds. It is, and it has room for 9 males and 2 females, although mostly it's males there. And again, for singles, this is a single shelter. So it's largely safety net. And this contract is for $244,000.
Do you expect anything to change with the being run by Interfaith instead of Spark?
Interfaith has been talking about building an addition or building a new shelter here. So they've just started that conversation. That would be with funds that they would obtain through other means. So this could change, this shelter could change. It's not in great condition, the building itself. So they haven't decided whether to renovate or rebuild.
And do you know the exact address of the building?
I can get that for you, yeah.
Are they looking to expand currently where they are? Are they making an addition to the current building, or is this expanding elsewhere?
No, I think there's a lot next door to this shelter, so they would use the lot.
And okay. I think that's something that some of us will want to, make sure that we're in conversations with moving forward. I know there's often a concern about just the number of services concentrated in the South End and in certain neighborhoods. So,
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that they shouldn't do it. I'm just saying it's something that we'll want to be, keeping up to date with and having conversations about.
Hopefully they will probably, I'm assuming they'll talk to the city and to the neighborhood, I would hope. But yeah.
Ms. Lockhart, I see you have your hand up.
Thank you, Chairman. Commissioner, this one is Morton Avenue, correct?
Correct.
And what was the other one then? Where is that located? What street?
The other Interfaith one?
Yeah, we just went through, what was it? Number
Interfaith
8?
is on Sheridan Avenue.
Sheridan, okay, thank you.
And are there any other questions from the committee? Okay, is there a motion to approve?
Motion.
Brewski, second, Mr. Cleary, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passed unanimous. Okay, next on the agenda is number 11, authorizing an agreement with Catholic Charities of the Diocese of Albany regarding emergency and transitional shelter services.
This is a contract with Catholic Charities to operate 2 different shelters. One is, they're both 19 beds. One is for males, one is for females. Mercy House is the female bed, provides female beds, and it allows for up to 2 children. But largely, again, this is for singles. This is often a single shelter. And this contract for both of those shelters is for up to $972,000. And these have been around a long time, both of these shelters. So it's a renewal of this contract with them.
Thank you. And are there any questions from the committee? Is that Carolyn? I see you speaking, but you're on mute.
Oh, you know what? I don't know what's my thing is. The thing is still spinning. I don't know what's going on. Where are those located at? Those 2 shelters that she spoke of.
Mercy House is 12 St. Joseph's Terrace.
Mm-hmm.
Charles Lawanga is 115 Grand.
Grand Street. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, those are long-standing facilities. I didn't realize that I could unmute myself a few minutes ago when you were talking about Morton Avenue. I believe that parking lot next door, I would not, well, I hope we're going to have some conversation about that facility on Morton Ave, because I would not advise expanding anything over there. That parking lot, the lot next door is used for parking for some of the housing that is adjacent to it on Elizabeth Street. So I look forward to that conversation about that facility.
Yes, I do too. Thank you, Ms. McLaughlin.
Mhm.
Are there
Just
any?
so everybody knows, that all those decisions have no involvement from county DSS. That's all a permitting and zoning decision on the local level that the county has no involvement in. So
But if they came to us asking for any kind of support at all, I mean, I know Sam and I will be there to chime in on it. So,
I will suggest that Janine, I'm blanking on her last name right this second.
Robitaille.
Robitaille talk to you all.
thank you.
And are there any other questions from the committee on resolution number 11, agenda item 11? Okay, is there a motion to approve?
Moved.
Mr. Cleary, is there a second? Mr. Bruschi, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passed unanimous. Number 12, authorizing an agreement with St. Catherine's Center for Children, Marillac residents regarding the provision of family shelter services.
This is a renewal for a contract with St. Catherine's for the marillac shelter, which is a tier 2 shelter, which is a little bit more intense services provided and longer term. This is for families. They stay at the shelter for a little bit longer, 90 days to 120 days, to get more intensive services, help with healthcare, help with legal services, help with school issues, help getting back on their feet so that they become more permanently housed. And this is 100% TANF federal funding. These are families.
Thank you. And are there any questions for the committee? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve?
Motion.
Ms. McLaughlin, is there a second?
Second.
Dabrowski, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passed unanimous. Commissioner, I'd just like to ask a question about, we've had a lot of resolutions on the agenda tonight relating to shelters for the homeless and transitional housing. Curious, just due to COVID, have you seen an increase in the need for housing, a decrease? Because I know we still have an eviction moratorium, and what are your thoughts are on when that eviction moratorium goes away? What type of situation we may see?
We're very concerned and preparing for that, trying to prepare best we can. One strange thing that's happening and a good thing that's happening in COVID is family homelessness looks like it's down. So our family shelters are down, the occupancy in our family shelters. So families are doing something else. They're either doubling up, they're staying with family, they're not getting evicted. So that's great. We haven't seen a lot of families in shelter. We expect that will significantly change when the moratorium is lifted. We're going to try to avoid that as much as possible with our the Treasury grant if people are eligible and it's appropriate. But we assume we're not going to be able to prevent all family homelessness. Singles have only been really, the homeless singles have continued pretty much at the similar rate to other years. And through this code blue, we've been fairly full.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, definitely something we'll have to keep watch over the coming months. Are there any other comments, Mr. Simpson?
Yeah, Commissioner, do we know when the applications for the COVID funding for landlords is going to be established?
We are waiting on state legislation to allow the state to develop a portal for everyone, all tenants in the state to use. So we hope it's done by April 1st, as the budget will be. And then we are hearing that OTDA is ready to get a portal up and going in April. So that everybody's kind of just waiting for the permission from the legislature to make this happen.
Okay, thank you.
how significant do you think those funds will be? Is that enough funding to keep the people that are behind in their rent able to stay in their homes? Or are we going to still have a gap in what's needed?
I don't think it's enough, but I've heard that we are going to get additional funding. And one of the reasons we're going with the state, besides they can develop a portal much more efficiently than we can, is they will also provide us with additional funding. They got an allocation. So once we spend our allocation and we have people that are continuing to be eligible, they will spend their allocation on our folks too. So it opens us up to even more funding.
Great. And so let's say someone's behind, let's say 8 months on their rent, and they apply and they meet all the income qualifications. Will they get that 8 months rent, or of course to the landlord, or will it depend on how many people apply and how much is available? They might get, let's say, 5 months because we have to ration it. How is that going to work?
I think that they're going to try to work out compromises where possible, so that if you owe 8 months of rent, will you accept 80% of it, for instance, kind of thing. It's up to 12 months. That's the rule. So you'd have to prove that you were behind and you were eligible for all of those 12 months. And so and you're below 50% of AMI, and you'd have to meet all the eligibility requirements. But you can get up to 12 months of fair market rent.
Okay. Great. Ms. McLaughlin?
Thank you. Commissioner, there was some concern that tenants would be resistant to applying for this. Do you have any anticipation that will happen and landlords will not be receiving, back rent? Because we talked about a lack of incentive for the renter, other than I'd really like to stay in this house and I like my landlord, I think he should get his money. And how are we approaching that and the outreach that we're doing to encourage tenants to apply once the money gets released?
We generally find that people don't want to be evicted. I mean, that's really the common pattern. There might be exceptions to that. And if you don't have the tenant and landlord applying together, that becomes a problem. That you must have the tenant must sign the application. So if you have a resistant tenant, you could potentially get in trouble. You could potentially not be eligible or not receive the funding if you're a landlord. But we're working with, there's a long list already of people who are facing eviction. So we're gathering those lists. We're going to start working with those people to see if they're appear to be eligible. And most of those are coming saying they don't want to be evicted.
So we're being proactive in identifying the potential applicants.
Yes, us and through the partners that we're working with. Legal Aid and United Tenants are gathering, they have people calling them and meeting with them, and people are facing getting notices of potential eviction, even though the courts aren't doing it yet. So we're putting those people in the queue. Okay.
I was just wondering, rather than just sit back and just waiting for somebody to respond to an ad or a flyer or something, we're not doing that. We have partners that are going to help identify people.
Hopefully we'll be getting some marketing materials out as well, but yeah.
Okay, thank you.
I'm also wondering, Commissioner, how much material is the tenant going to have to provide to prove their income? Is it going to be something that's, burdensome and that's going to turn some tenants away?
Potentially, it's a federal program, so you know how that goes. They will. I don't know if they're going to have to prove every month. We don't know that. We haven't in the weeds. We're not in the weeds there yet as far as exactly what is going to, you're going to need to prove that your income went down or you were on unemployment. Those are two things I know. So what they will accept as proof of that. If you have your unemployment letters or you have pay stubs or unemployment letter for the last 90 days, then that will be proof. You're also going to need to have a lease. You're going to need to, you don't have to have an eviction notice, but you'll have to have some kind of a letter saying you're behind and that it could lead to eviction. So those are the things that we know.
Okay, and I don't expect it to be hard to get the landlord to cooperate at all in giving a letter saying they're behind on rent.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Are there any other questions from the committee? Okay, then
Motion to move the item.
this is actually not even an item. We were just asking
Okay, great then.
follow-up questions. So I guess is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting is adjourned.